Welcome to Tuesday. And on this Tuesday, we have 9 games, which means I have 2 boards set up to preview them for you. And I thought I'd use different magnets because that way people complain about me not using the magnets I used last time. That's generally how that works. I even changed all the magnets on the power rankings board yesterday because, yeah. I can't wait for Saturday. That's going to be funny. Anyways, let's go ahead and just jump into this with Vancouver and the New York Islanders. So the Canucks are 10-7-2. They're coming off of a loss last night against the Rangers. They look tired. They don't look the same. The Islanders are 8-6-2 and they're well rested. Not saying this is going to be one-sided, but I'm not saying it won't be either. Markstrom's going to play every game until Nelson gets back, unless maybe they give Bachman a start here. Maybe. I haven't looked. I'm not sure. In fact, why don't I just go ahead and take a quick look? No confirmation on that one. But yeah, that's likely the way it's going to work out. There's only one goalie that's actually confirmed at this stage. I'm doing this at 7:26 a.m. So Pacific time, not Eastern. I'm not crazy. Not that crazy. That's a better way of putting it. Anyway, scoring leaders for Vancouver. Elias Pettersson still the leader at 10 goals, 7 assists. Bo Horvat, 9 goals, 7 assists. Louis Eriksson, 4 goals, 7 assists. Brock Besser, 4 goals, 7 assists. Nikolai Goldobin, 2 goals, 8 assists. Jake Virtanen, 7 goals, 2 assists. Marcus Granlund, 3 goals, 6 assists. And Ben Hutton's on the board with 4 goals and 3 assists. On the Islanders side of things, Josh Bailey, 5 goals, 12 assists. Barzal, 2 goals, 12 assists. Anders Lee, 5 goals, 9 assists. Nelson, 8 goals and 3 assists. Zizekas, 5 goals, 4 assists. Phil Palat with 5 goals, 3 assists. Eberle, 4 goals, 3 assists. And Scott Mayfield rounds out their top 8 with 2 goals and 5 assists. Goaltenders, as said, Markstrom likely starts. He's 7-4-2 with a 3.16 goals against and a 900 save percentage. That's right, he's back up to 900. Nelson 3-3 with a 2.67 goals against, 912 save percentage. On the Islanders side of things, Robin Lehner 4-4-1 with a 2.59 goals against, 921 save percentage. Thomas Greiss 4-2-1 with a 1.98 goals against and a 940 save percentage. In comparing the Canucks and the Islanders, the Canucks have 61 goals for, 64 goals against. Their road record is 5-5-2, and versus the East, they're 5-4-2. The Islanders, they've scored 49 goals, they've allowed 42. At home, they're 3-1-2, and versus the West, they're 2-4. The one thing that's noticeable about the early season is that very often teams will have played more against the other conference than they've played against their own. I noticed that when I was putting this together. Or at least it's close. And that won't last, of course. But so the Islanders don't have a great record versus the West, but when you look at this road trip for Vancouver, it's 1-1-1 so far. The win in Boston is now long forgotten. Those 8 goals are long forgotten too. And not being able to hold the lead against Buffalo, compounded with losing to the Rangers last night. This is a game they kind of need to save a good feeling on this road trip for them. And for the Islanders, if they can win this one, they can stay pretty close to first place in the division. It's a very tightly packed division, to the surprise of no one, minus the Devils. The Devils are the only one that really have sort of fallen off the mark. Next up, Montreal 9-5-3. They're in against Edmonton 8-8-1. So if you're a fan in Canada, you're probably gonna be curious how this one turns out. You got an Eastern team and a Western team. 2 teams that never played each other in the Stanley Cup Finals in the 80s, which is odd because they both made it to the Stanley Cup Finals enough times in the 80s that you would have thought they would have crossed paths at some point. Didn't happen. But of course, the Oilers in their second season in the NHL did upset the Montreal Canadiens, led by Guy Lafleur. That was the big coming out party for Gretzky in the playoffs. Silenced a lot of people that thought that the Oilers wouldn't win in the playoffs. This is different. This is a Connor McDavid-led Oilers team, and this is a kind of a no-name bunch for Montreal. And I'm not saying that to insult the team or anything. It's that there isn't any one guy you can just shut down. Scoring leaders for Montreal, Max Domi now has 9 goals, 12 assists. Tatar, 7 goals, 8 assists. Drouin, 5 goals, 8 assists. Petrie, 1 goal, 12 assists. Brendan Gallagher, 9 goals, 3 assists. And Jesperi Kotkaniemi now has 3 goals and 6 assists. He has started to come on. He has started to show that certain channel last summer that said Kotkaniemi was going to make the team. I might have been right about that. I know I'm not right about a lot of things, and I keep seeing all these things I wasn't right about, but I said about Kotkaniemi all summer. Anyways, Lankinen, 1 goal, 8 assists. Dano also has 1 goal, 8 assists. I don't really need to pluralize it when it's 1. I know this. On the Edmonton side of things, McDavid, 10 goals, 13 assists. Draisaitl, 10 goals, 7 assists. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 3 goals, 14 assists. Clefbaum, 8 assists. Reeder, 7 assists. Chason, 6 goals. Larson, 6 assists. Kajula, 5 goals. And it's funny because you look at the scoring here and it's 21, 15, 13, 13, 12, 9, 9, 9. On the Edmonton side, 23, 17, 17, 8, 7, 6, 6, 5. This is what I mean about scoring depth right here. Montreal has it. Like I said, there isn't any one player that you can shut down. On the Oilers side of things, McDavid and Draisaitl have been playing together again, and that's basically your attack right there. And other than that, you don't really have to worry about much else. Yes, Tyrati got a goal in the last game, but in general, Edmonton's attack, it needs some help. On the goaltending side of things, Carey Price, 5, 4, and 3. 3.07 goals against, 892 save percentage. I'm thinking he probably goes in here after getting Saturday off. Niemi, 4 and 1. 3.30 goals against, 894 save percentage. The fact Niemi has the better win-loss record than Carey Price is also going to factor into how much each goaltender plays. Talbot, 5, 7, and 1 with a 3.09 goals against, 895 save percentage. And Koskinen, 3 and 1 with a 2.63 goals against, 915 save percentage. So, from an Oilers fan's perspective, Koskinen looks like the more attractive option. I don't know how long that could last, though. I don't know how well Koskinen's numbers would hold up if he was playing starter minutes. I'm just saying if you reverse their minutes, I don't know if we wouldn't just see Koskinen with the 895 and Talbot with the 915. But, again, we'll see what happens as the season goes along. I know Todd McClellan takes a lot of flack, but I don't see them making a move behind the bench at this stage of the game. And really, when you look at this team, is it built to win? It's the same question I asked about the Kings. Anyways, when you look at the teams, Montreal, 58 goals for, 58, 5 goals against. On the road, they're 3, 2, and 2, and against the West, they're 3 and 2. The Edmonton Oilers, 46 goals for, 54 goals against. At home, they're 3 and 3 and 1. And versus the East, they're 4, 5 and 1. So, the Oilers, not a great record against the East. And honestly, at home, if you've won 3 out of 7, that's not a great start at home. We'll see if they're able to muster more of a defense tonight against the Montreal Canadiens, who come in with a very high-powered attack. And Edmonton's definitely got a perception as a team with some defensive issues, so it could be a very entertaining game tonight. Next up, the Toronto Maple Leafs are 11 and 6. They're in against the LA Kings, 5, 10 and 1. These teams definitely have a history with one another, dating back to the days of Gretzky, of course. The Leafs have an excellent road record, and the Kings, it doesn't really matter where they're playing this season. The Toronto Maple Leafs scoring leaders, Morgan Rielly, who's having an amazing season, 7 goals, 14 assists. Marner, 5 goals, 15 assists. Tavares, 10 goals, 9 assists. Matthews, 10 goals, 6 assists. Kapanen, 6 goals, 6 assists. Kadri with 5 goals, 6 assists. Marleau with 3 goals and 6 assists. Patrick Marleau is having, I think, a pretty solid season. Gardner, 1 goal and 8 assists to round out the top 8. On the Kings side of things, Kovalchuk, 5 goals and 9 assists. He is their best scorer. He is. And Carter, 4 goals, 6 assists. Doughty, 1 goal, 9 assists. Toffoli, 4 goals, 5 assists. Iafallo, 3 goals, 5 assists. Kopitar, who 2 years ago I was talking about how he looked slower and he looked like he was falling behind the game. Last year had an amazing career year, and this year he's got 4 goals and 2 assists for 6 points in 16 games. And that's just not good enough. Martinez, 1 goal, 5 assists, and Brown still on the board with 3 goals and 2 assists in only 6 games since he returned. On the goaltending side, Anderson 9-5, 2.10 goals against, 933 save percentage. Garrett Sparks is 2-1 with a 4.00 goals against, 879 save percentage. On the LA side of things, a lot of hurt goaltenders here. Quick, who's out, 0-3-1, 4.55 goals against, 845 save percentage. Campbell, who's now also out, 5-7 with a 2.33 goals against, 923 save percentage. Peter Budaj, who I would expect to start tonight, no record for him, 2.00 goals against, 909 save percentage. When you look at the team's records, it really is a tale of two cities here. 58 goals for, 46 goals against for the Maple Leafs, 6-1 on the road, and they're 6-3 versus the West. So they like playing against the West. The LA Kings, 33 goals for, 50 goals against. At home, they're 4-5-1. Versus the East, they're 4-5, which is better than their record against the West or their record on the road. So the Kings have a better than even shot tonight versus their record on the road, I guess. If you're looking for an upset tonight, that would probably be my pick. Much the same reason as last night when I was saying Nashville probably would lose to Anaheim. I think the Kings are better than their record shows. I think that teams with excellent road records, I think it gets tougher as the season goes along. And the Leafs are a team that it's easy to get up for a game against. Because at home, almost anywhere in the NHL, you're going to hear a lot of Leaf fans. So I think that fires up home teams sometimes. Like, we need to silence these fans that are louder than our fans in our arena. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially with the goaltending. Can the Kings survive now until Quick comes back? I assume Quick will be back before Campbell, but I haven't heard for sure. And I guess it depends on which end of 3 to 6 weeks Campbell falls. But it's been a rough season for LA, and the injury to Campbell just means it could get worse. Next up. The Nashville Predators, coming off of a rare as in it hadn't happened this year, shootout loss. They go in against the San Jose Sharks. So the Nashville Predators are 13-3-1. The Sharks are 9-6-3. And the Sharks are looking to get some form of consistency going here. It's been 1 up and 1 down, or 2 up and 2 down for basically the whole season. If they can come out tonight and get a win over a team that should be tired in Nashville, it would go a long way to helping them right the ship. It's still early enough in the season. Their record isn't that bad that they can definitely get this back together. The Predators 13-3-1. The Sharks 9-6-3. And your scoring leaders for Nashville, Johansson 3 goals and 14 assists, so he no longer has more than a point a game. This is a Nashville thing, though. They didn't have a point per game scorer last year either. Nobody hit 82 points, is what I'm saying. Forsberg 10 goals and 5 assists. Turris 3 goals, 11 assists. Arvidsson 8 goals, 5 assists. Subban 2 goals and 10 assists. He missed about a period and a half of that game last night. I didn't end up talking about it, but it is curious, and I didn't hear exactly why. If it's an equipment malfunction, it's not going to be a period and a half, so we'll see how much he plays tonight. Yossi 5 goals, 6 assists. Ekholm 3 goals, 8 assists, and Hartman with 5 goals and 4 assists rounds out the top 8. On the San Jose side, Burns 3 goals, 17 assists. Meyer 12 goals, 6 assists. Couture 6 goals, 11 assists. Hurdle 5 goals, 10 assists. Evander Kane 6 goals, 7 assists. LeBanc 2 goals and 9 assists. Pavelski 8 goals, 2 assists, and Donskoy with 4 goals and 6 assists. On the goaltending side of things, Rene 6-1-1, 1.47 goals against, 951 save percentage. We've mentioned how Rene's not a bad goaltender, and he's still not a bad goaltender. Saros 7-2 with a 2.07 goals against, 909 save percentage. I would expect it's a back-to-back. I would expect Saros to play here. On the San Jose side, Dell, a 1-2-2 record with a 2.96 goals against, 905 save percentage. And Jones, 8-4-1, 2.69 goals against. His save percentage is back up to 900. He needs to get it over 900. Come on, Martin. I believe in you. Let's get that save percentage above 900. When you look at team records, the Nashville Predators, 57 goals for, 37 goals against. On the road, they're now 8-0-1, so that perfect record is gone. But you can still say they haven't lost in regulation in 9 games on the road. That's still pretty impressive. Versus the West, they're 7-3-1. The San Jose Sharks, 56 goals for, 55 goals against. At home, they're 5-2-1, so an excellent home record for San Jose. And versus the West, they're 5-3. So this should be a very competitive, very entertaining game. I hope, because last night's Nashville Anaheim game was tough. It was tough. And I think part of that is that when I don't really have an emotional attachment to a game, it can be kind of hard for me to really get into it when it's really low scoring. But anyways, I would expect San Jose to come out well. I'm not going to take San Jose as an upset because Nashville should be a little more motivated tonight and should have some more fire in them because of the fact they lost in a shootout against Anaheim last night. So I would expect a fast start from Nashville tonight. If San Jose can overcome that first 5 or 10 minutes, as the game wears along, they should gain momentum because of the fact that Nashville played last night. So the longer you go into the game, the more momentum should be going San Jose's way. Should be. It's a lot of should be's with San Jose. They should have the most deadly power play in the league because they have Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns. It hasn't happened yet. Next up, the Arizona Coyotes, who are 8-7-1, surprisingly, in against Detroit, who are 7-8-2, which is mildly surprising because Detroit early in the season looked like they were headed towards some epically bad territory, and yet they've salvaged it, and they look like they're ready to potentially hit 500 tonight. If they hit 500 tonight and go above it, they'll be just as surprising as the Rangers. On the Arizona side of things, Clayton Keller leads their scorers with 5 goals, 7 assists. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 2 goals, 9 assists. Grabner, 4 goals, 5 assists. Hinostroza, 4 goals, 4 assists. Stepan, 4 goals, 4 assists. Galchenyuk, 3 goals, 5 assists for him in 9 games since he returned from injury. Richardson, 5 goals, 2 assists, and Goligoski, a goal and 6 assists. On the Detroit side of things, Larkin, 7 goals, 10 assists. Nyquist, 2 goals, 13 assists. Athanasiou, 6 goals, 4 assists, and he started to really show, as I've said recently, that the consistency started showing up in Andreas' game. And if Athanasiou and Larkin both play up to their potential, I don't know if Detroit makes the playoffs, but they'll be a lot closer. Bertuzzi, 5 goals, 3 assists. Cholowski, 2 goals, 6 assists. Nielsen, 8 assists for him. Mantha, 5 goals, 2 assists. And Glendening, 1 goal, 5 assists to round out their top 8. Goaltenders, Ratta's still on the shelf. He's 5-4. 2.1 goals against, 928 save percentage. Kemper's starting again tonight, so no rest for the weary. 3 wins, 3 losses, 1 overtime loss for him. 2.58 goals against, 921 save percentage. He's played well. On the Detroit side of things, Howard is likely. He's 5-2. 2.83 goals against, 918 save percentage. Bernier, 2-3 with a 3.92 goals against, 891 save percentage for him. If we compare the team's records, Arizona, 45 goals for, 39 goals against. Their road record is 4-4-1, and versus the East, they're 5-3-1. So they're good against the East. On the Detroit side, they've scored 47 goals. They've allowed 60. Their home record is 4-4-1, and versus the West, they're 2-3-1. So for the Detroit Red Wings, tonight's a good chance to prove themselves. For Arizona, it's an even better chance really to prove themselves. If Arizona can go to 9-7-1 with how wide open the Pacific Division is right now, you've got the Canucks who look like they're ready to fall back. The Flames who've looked good. They've looked good, and yet, you know, they're not really seen as a contender. You guys know what I mean, right? They're not put in that same category as, say, Nashville, Winnipeg, and them. Arizona can absolutely make some hay in that division. They can look and say, you know what, if they can put together a run, maybe we can take a shot at this division, because San Jose hasn't looked like a world beater either. And Arizona had a rough start, and they're still above 500 right now. So as crazy as it sounds, maybe just making the playoffs won't be enough for them. Maybe they're ready to go on kind of a Vegas from last year's style run. But that's crazy talk. We're still early in the season, and their starting goaltender is hurt right now. So, yeah, it's crazy talk. But it is a close league this year. Unlike other years, I'm not seeing anybody who's really completely down and out. I mean, yes, the Kings would probably qualify, but their record, as bad as it is, there's still enough hope there that there's maybes. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and change the board, and then we'll look at the other 4 games. Okie dokie then. So, the Capitals tonight are in against the Minnesota Wild. Washington, of course, 7-6-3 have been a disappointment so far this year. And Minnesota 11-4-2. Not going to mention the Stanley Cup hangover with Washington. We're now far enough into the season that really shouldn't be a factor. But again, when that hangover takes place, it can be kind of hard to then get your momentum back. But it's still early. 16 games into the season, 1 game above 500. That's not going to get it done. And I think Ovechkin and the boys would admit they need to improve. That being said, Ovechkin's put up some pretty darn solid totals, and we'll take a look at that. Kuznetsov leads them in scoring with 6 goals, 14 assists. Ovechkin, 12 goals, 7 assists. Backstrom, 4 goals, 15 assists. Karlsson, 5 goals, 13 assists. Oshie, 8 goals, 5 assists. Connolly with 2 goals and 7 assists. Niskanen, 3 goals, 5 assists, tied with Lars Eller, who also has 3 goals and 5 assists. Minnesota, one of the most surprising teams in the league so far this year, in the positive. Granlund leads the way with 10 goals, 8 assists. He's been on quite the tear lately. Parise, 7 goals, 9 assists, who really shouldn't be underestimated. Zach Parise right now looks like the Zach Parise that they signed out of the New Jersey Devils. Zucker, 5 goals, 8 assists. Suter, 3 goals, 10 assists. Stahl with 5 goals and 7 assists. Koivu, 2 goals, 9 assists. Spurgeon, 3 goals, 7 assists. And Charlie Coyle, 2 goals and 7 assists. When you look at the goaltenders, Copley with a 2-1-1 record, 3.14 goals against, 898 save percentage. Braden Holtby, 5-5-2 with a 3.24 goals against and a 900 save percentage. On the Minnesota side of things, Stalock 3-1 with a 2.73 goals against, 905 save percentage. Devin Dubnyk 8-3-2 with a 2.14 goals against and a 933 save percentage. And I do think that if we took a Vezina voting today, Dubnyk would probably be top 3. Absolutely. I think Vasilevsky would be in the top 3. I think you'd have Dubnyk. I think right now, I think Gibson would probably fall out. And yeah, I would think that Anderson would probably get votes right now. Right now where we're at, I think he would get votes. Not to say that's necessarily going to carry on all year, just for right now. If we look at team records, the Capitals have scored 54 goals. They've allowed 56. That's unusual. Their road record is 2-3-1, so they've only been on the road 6 games so far this year. And versus the West, they're 4-2-1. Minnesota, 54 goals for, 44 goals against. They're 5-0-2 at home. And versus the East, they've only played the East twice this year, and they're 1-0-1 in those games. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Minnesota today, and it means that Minnesota's making hay against conference, which is good for you. When you can win games against your own conference, that's really what matters most, especially when you consider playoffs. You're not going to be against the East. They don't do crossovers like that. This is not the CFL. There's people in the States going, the CF what? But yeah, so that game is going to be really interesting because, honestly, Washington should come out and play really well. Remember, tomorrow night, Washington gets to play in Winnipeg. So if they lose in Minnesota, this could snowball quickly. Because Winnipeg, you've got quite the team there. And if Washington's coming off of a loss from tonight, yeah. So I would expect some fight from the Capitals tonight. And not the kind of fight that some may want, because they're not going to get Tom Wilson back quite yet. But once Wilson gets back, we'll see if that makes a big difference to their win-loss record. Next up, Tampa, 12-4-1. They're coming off of a stinging loss. They're in against the Buffalo Sabres, who are 9-6-2. It's an interesting matchup because Buffalo is, I'm not going to say they're ahead of schedule, but they are a surprise so far. And we'll see how far that surprise can go. And one thing that's not being mentioned, everybody's talking about Skinner and how well he's doing. A lot of that has to do with Jack Eichel, too. When you have the right guy feeding you the puck, that can make all the difference in the world. And Eichel is having a breakout season that not very many people are talking about. On the Tampa Bay side of things, a lot of depth in scoring here. Braden Point leads him with 9 goals and 10 assists. Kucherov, 7 goals, 11 assists. Yanni Gourde, 7 goals, 10 assists. Stamkos, 6 goals, 9 assists. Miller, 5 goals, 9 assists. Johnson, 6 goals, 6 assists. McDonough, 1 goal, 11 assists. and Anton Stralman with a goal and 7 assists. On the Buffalo side of things, Skinner leads the way with 12 goals, 7 assists. There's Jack Eichel with 4 goals, 15 assists. It's a lot for him. Pominville, 8 goals, 7 assists. And Sam Reinhart, who is showing enough signs that he's going to become a decent scorer that I think he's going to keep getting chances. 2 goals and 10 assists for him. It's underwhelming compared to what was expected when he was drafted, but there's progression there. Okposo, 4 goals, 5 assists. Sherry, 6 goals, 3 assists. Ristolainen, 2 goals, 7 assists. And Rasmus Dahlin gets on the board with a goal and 6 assists. On the goaltending side of things, Louis Domingue, 3-1 with a 3.77 goals against, 885 save percentage. Andrei Vasilevsky, 9-3-1 with a 2.29 goals against, 927 save percentage. Buffalo, Linus Ullmark, 3-0-1 with a 2.79 goals against, 915 save percentage. Carter Hutton, 6-6-1 with a 2.78 goals against, 912 save percentage. So this is going to be a very interesting matchup. We will see how this turns out. I want to mention goaltenders and Vezina. I totally forgot Rene, didn't I? Rene's kind of in his own league, isn't he? Yeah, Rene just needs his own trophy. We'll give the other goaltenders a different trophy. The first year of the Pekka Rene trophy. Stop making people look bad. Anyways, when we compare records, Tampa 63 goals for, 48 goals against. On the road, they're 5-4-1 or 5-1-1 versus the East. They're 8-1. So quite the record for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Buffalo 53 goals for, 52 goals against. At home, they're 5-2-1, and versus the East, they're 4-3-1. So quite the record that the Buffalo Sabres have been racking up lately. And Tampa, this definitely looks like a game where Tampa should come out fired up after their last game. And Buffalo, are they overachieving? You know, if they had the comeback win against Vancouver, I'm not necessarily going to say they're overachieving, but I do wonder with both Vancouver and Buffalo, who are tied to each other through being expansion brethren, if both of them maybe have overachieved a bit early and if it's going to get clawed back at some point. But that's probably just the fan in me that looks at that expansion and goes, is it cursed or is it jinxed? Because neither of them have won Stanley Cups. They've both got heartbreak in Stanley Cup finals. It's if you look at the two records, again, I'm not doing it right now, but if you look at the two franchises versus one another, there's a lot of comparisons there. There are definitely comparisons there. All right, next up, Florida. The Florida Panthers are relevant again. They're 6-5-3. A lot of it has to do with a guy named Luongo, but between the nets. 39-year-old goaltender has resurrected their hopes for playoffs. They're in against the Philadelphia Flyers, who are 9-7-1. And which Flyers are going to show up? Your guess is as good as mine. It's a Metro Division team, and Metro Division teams, it's anybody's guess what you're going to get. The best team in the Metro right now might very well be the New York Rangers. But anyways, let's talk about these two. On the Florida side, Dadonov leads the way in scoring with 7 goals, 9 assists. He's on a nice little streak of his own. Keith Yandle, 3 goals, 12 assists. He's putting together an excellent season. Hoffman, 7 goals and 7 assists. Excellent season for Hoffman so far. Huberdeau, 4 goals, 10 assists. Barkov, 5 goals and 8 assists. Trocheck, 3 goals, 9 assists. Bukestad, 3 goals, 5 assists. And Frankie Vetrano, with 5 goals, rounds out the top 8. On the Philadelphia side of things, Claude Giroux, 7 goals, 15 assists for 22 points in 17 games. 22 points in 7 games. That's a pretty good start. 17 games. Giroux has started getting his scoring back to where it was last year, which is bad news for the rest of the East. Voracek, 4 goals, 12 assists. Couturier, 7 goals, 4 assists. It is worthy of note that Couturier's scoring has been improving lately. I do think that's related to Giroux's recent bump in scoring. If Couturier can keep improving his totals, I think it's going to be better for the entire team all around. Couturier is very important, and I remember at one point last year, I argued that Couturier should have been their Hart nominee rather than Giroux, and there were a lot of Flyer fans that said, are you crazy? But I think this year's kind of shown it again. Because as soon as Couturier gets going, it looks like that team gets going. Patrick, 5 goals and 4 assists. He's right behind Simmons, who's got 7 goals, 3 assists. Lindblom, 4 goals, 5 assists. And Ghost has 3 goals and 6 assists. So Ghost Bear, 9 points for him. And Konechny, 3 goals and 5 assists for him to round out the top 8. Goaltenders, Reimer, who played well in the last game, worthy of note, of course, because this means they can give Luongo more rest. He's 2-4-1 now with a 3.04 goals against, 899 save percentage. Luongo, 3 wins, 1.42 goals against, 952 save percentage. Hutchinson, 1-1-2, 4.17 goals against, 839 save percentage. He's in the American League. On the Philadelphia side, Elliott, 6-5 now with a 2.67 goals against, 909 save percentage. Pickard, 3-1-1 with a 4.41 goals against, 865 save percentage. And Neuwirth, 0-1, 6.00 goals against, 727 save percentage. Not great. But on the Philly side of things have been getting better. So I would expect Elliott to be in there tonight. I would expect Luongo, and watch for a pretty fun game. It may actually be more of a low-scoring game than we would expect between these two teams. Goals, Florida's in the positive. They have 47 goals for and 45 goals against. On the road, they're 3-2-2, and versus the East, they're 4-3-3. So they're positive in everything if you don't include overtime losses and shootout losses as actual losses. On the Philly side of things, they have 57 goals for, 60 goals against. Their home record is 4-4-1, and versus the East, they're 3-3. So considering where Philadelphia was a couple weeks ago, it doesn't look that bad right now. It's not fantastic, but it doesn't look that bad. I think that of the games that are on tonight, I'll probably end up watching this one a lot because I'm really interested to see just how far Florida can go with this hot streak. Because again, I did pick them, and I didn't just pick them because I thought they were going to be good this year. I picked them because I thought, you know what, these guys are probably due for a good season. It's been a while, and they're probably due for a good season. And, that may not be anything logical. It may be what's going on with Buffalo, too. They're just due. But I like rooting for underdogs. It's a painful life when you root for the underdog. It absolutely is. It's not fun. Next up. And finally, last but not least, the thing to resistance. The Pittsburgh Penguins, 7-5-3. They're in against the New Jersey Devils, who are 6-8-1. The Devils desperately need this game. It's gone from this is kind of a must-win to, yeah, you've got to win this game. Pittsburgh comes in with a disappointing record. New Jersey's got an excellent home record. You've got to make hay in this one tonight. You've got to start Kincaid. And you got to hope he gets back to the magic he showed the first 4 games of the year. On the Pittsburgh side of things, their scorers. Malkin's been stuck at 20 points for a while now. 7 goals, 13 assists. Crosby, 8 goals, 9 assists. 17 points for him. Kessel, 7 goals, 10 assists. Letang, 4 goals, 8 assists. Jake Gensel, 5 goals, 6 assists. Simone with 4 goals, 6 assists. Alexiak still on the board. 4 goals and 4 assists. Amazing. If I had told anybody that a quarter of the way into the season, Alexiak would be top 8 in scoring, I would have been told I was crazy. And Hornquist, 5 goals and 2 assists for the Pittsburgh Penguins to round out the top 8. Now for the 6-8-1 New Jersey Devils, Palmieri still leads the way at 10 goals, 7 assists. Hall is there with 3 goals, 12 assists. Heischer, 3 goals, 9 assists. Zajac, 6 goals, 5 assists. Severson, 2 goals and 8 assists. Boyle, 6 goals and 1 assist. Coleman is on the board at 5 goals, 2 assists. And Vatanen with a goal and 6 assists. Butcher also has a goal and 6 assists for them. In goaltending department, completely different stories here. DeSmith, 3-1-2 with a 1.89 goals against, 942 save percentage. That being said, I'd be surprised if Murray doesn't start. Murray's 4-4-1 with a 3.87 goals against, 886 save percentage, and you want to get him going. On the New Jersey side of things, Kincaid's at 6-5-1 now with a 2.86 goals against, 909 save percentage, and Schneider hasn't won in a very long time. He's 0-3 this year, 4.82 goals against, 849 save percentage. I know he won in the playoffs, but in the regular season, I'm pretty sure it's at 15 games right now since he won. 15 games. That's crazy. When you look at the records of these teams, Pittsburgh, 51 goals for, 47 goals against. On the road, they're 3-4-1, and versus the East, they are a un-Pittsburgh like 2-5-2. So that's not going to get it done. And New Jersey, it's not much better, really. 45 goals for, 54 goals against. At home, they're 5-1-1, and versus the East, they're 3-6. So neither of these teams like playing against their own conference right now. And it'll be interesting to see who actually ends up being the better team at the end of the night, because your guess is as good as mine on this one. We haven't seen a big game from Malkin in a while. We haven't seen a big game from Kessel in a while. Pittsburgh's offense has been kind of muted for the most part over the last couple of weeks. Now they're against New Jersey Devils team that's had problems stopping teams from scoring. So on paper, it would look like Vancouver. It looked like Pittsburgh should win. I'm looking at a Canucks logo. It would look like Pittsburgh should win this one going away, but the Devils at home are very good. So the Devils could pull off an upset tonight. And for Pittsburgh, if they fall back to the same record that Washington currently has, and all I'm saying is this. I don't think both Washington and Pittsburgh are going to miss the playoffs. But the way both of them are playing, neither of them look very interested in making the playoffs. At this stage, November 13th, neither team has a record that makes you say, oh yeah, no, they'll make the playoffs and they're going to be contenders. And the Metro things are so close, they're so tight, they could very easily find themselves getting squeezed out. That's all I'm saying. I do expect one or the other or both to pick it up and end up going on a run by the end of the year. We won't be talking about this very much. But for right now, for where these teams are at, they both have problems. And that's all I've been saying. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.